Hello everybody, this is Konstantin Rabitsov from the Linux Foundation, and today I wanted to talk to you about how you can easily add two-factor authentication to your Puppet infrastructure. And we'll be doing that using a software that we developed here at Linux Foundation called totpcgi. It's spelled TOTP-CGI, and TOTP stands for the one-time password, I believe. The one-time password, time-based one-time password. I don't remember, honestly. TOTP, I've written it so many times I don't even remember what it means. So anyway, let's jump right into let's get straight to business. And to demonstrate how easy it is to do, I'm going to show you on the example of the two systems that I have kickstarted. One of them is called Muppet, which is our Puppet server. Another one is going to be called creatively TOTP, which is going to be our TOTP CGI or 2pcgi server. And let's take a look at Muppet. And these are really very minimal installs of RHEL 6.4. And the only thing that I've done on the Puppet server, being Muppet, is I installed Puppet server. I set up Puppet Master to start at boot. I've added a very simple site.pp. You'll see that it contains very few things. There's only one entry. It's default node. I install Git. I install Vim Enhanced because that's the only way to do it. And I install OpenSSH clients just because I like being able to SCP things around. I create a rule to allow wheel users to sudo. I create me being Mr. Icon. That's my username. I create a password. I don't care if you crack that password. That's just a throwaway one. Don't bother. I add myself to the wheel group. I create the SSH directory and I add my SSH key to that file. This is all that it's currently doing. And if we're on Puppet, yeah, that's all good. So, and let's get to the TOTP server. That's totp.mricon.com. That doesn't really exist. It's just DNS mask magic. Just do the host name. Muppet, mricon.com is the Puppet server. TOTP, mricon.com is a freshly kickstarted RHEL 6.4 minimal install. With the only thing that's added to it is the Apple repository. Apple.repo, and that's very basic. So what we're gonna start off with, we're gonna enroll this node with Puppet, and then we are going to copy the Puppet module provided by the 2pcgi project, and we are going to very quickly add our Puppet server and the TOTP-CGI server itself to require two-factor authentication whenever somebody tries to sudo. So let's very quickly go ahead and do that. First, let's enroll with Puppet. I think I need to install Puppet first. There we go. Come on, internets. That's version 2.6 of Puppet. That's what currently is in Apple. I believe it should work just fine with version 2.7. Now let's go ahead. Puppet agent server equals Muppet. And something I would need to pass, if I can spell it right, is the length of the key. The default key with Puppet 2.6 is 1024, and that's just pitiful. So we're going to pass and make sure the key is created with a length of 2048 bits. And I believe that's all that we need to do. That's very interesting. Right, should have said that. So now we need to sign it. Let's go back there. All right. So that's going to apply the default configuration. Get us to the point where I can log in as myself as user Mr. Icon instead of having to SSH directly as root. Alright, so what we created, installed package git, added our allow wheel created Mr. Icon user, added my SSH key, and that's all that we asked it to do. So if we go back here, my SSH as myself, boom, it works. So now we do sudo, type in my throwaway password. I assure you that is the password, thank you. So there we go. I'm the user. So now what we want to be able to accomplish and say that whenever somebody tries to sudo, first have them enter their password and then have them enter their de facto authentication token using Google Authenticator or something similar. That's the TOTP RFC. So let's go back over here to the Puppet server. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clone the totpcgi Git repository. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that's the simplest way to get the Puppet module out of it. We won't really need for anything after that. We're just going to copy one directory from the entire checkout there. So what's the clone address? There it is. So we are in root, git clone that. All right. So if we go there, you'll see contrib, you'll see Puppet. There's going to be a quick start.rst file, which I'm pretty much following to the letter. And this is the actual module, right? So we're going to do cp-r totpcgi etc. Actually, I think we need to Puppet modules first. That's right. CGI etc Puppet modules. Okay, good. Now let's look what's in this module. Let's go to manifests. There's two classes here. One is being client class, one is being a server class. Let's take a look at what server class provides us with. So we have package HTTPD, which we kind of have to have. It's created, installed. We have a service HTTPD, make sure it's running. We have package mod SSL because we're going to be using SSL certificates for mutual authentication between the 2PCGI client and 2PCGI server. That's a very important bit. Now we have mod authn-z external for this basically replaces mod PAM auth because that's a very old module. It's not been maintained for many years. This is its replacement. And what this will do is will allow us to provision to use PAM records to provision de facto authentication tokens. And we're going to allow HTTPD module to use PAM. We're going to install 3 packages. One is being 2PCGI, the SC-Linux module for it. 2PCGI provisioning, which is the important part. That's the part that actually allows us to get the tokens. We're going to then install the actual configuration for the 2PCGI and provisioning. And we're going to create the Apache record for it. Create SSL. We're going to think the only thing that it does is it comments everything out in the default SSL file. If you're going to be installing, so this is take a step back. Clearly, if you already have an existing fairly extensive Puppet module infrastructure, you will have to modify this file because you really don't want to just blow away your ssl.conf if you're already using ssl.conf for something. And but it should be pretty much drop in. But just to caution you that do look through this and make sure it doesn't conflict with whatever else you have in your Puppet infrastructure. We do conf.d. That's up again for Apache. Apache we install the provisioning configuration file, and that's really it. So we install Apache modules. We install so Apache server. We install mod SSL. We install the packages necessary for 2PCGI. We flip a few SC-Linux flags. We add the configuration files for Apache and for 2PCGI server itself, and that's basically it. So let's go ahead and try that, and we'll take a look at the client later. So let's get back. Manifests, site pp. Let's create a new node. totpcgi.com inherits default. Let's say include. Let's see what that does to us. First of all, make sure that the server is defined so we don't have to pass the server parameter every time. Alright, so does that work? We'll need to modify a few configuration files after that, but this is the first run through it just to see how things are working. So it seems to be installing just fine, and all the totpcgi bits are in Apple, and there shouldn't be any manual provides or requires that you have to satisfy, so everything is just very cleanly installing from RHEL core repository and from Apple. Of course, RHEL means also it will install from CentOS and from Scientific Linux and all the other rebuilds that you can see out there. Okay, so while we're waiting on that, let's go back in here and go back to our module and go look at the templates. So this is the default configuration is for example.com. Let's change it to say mricon.com everywhere. Let's look at this template file, and you can grok it later if you want. What I'm going to just do for now is replace example with Mr. Icon. Okay, I'm going to edit the PAM URL configuration to tell it to go to totpmricon.com instead of example.com. That's all we need to do here. Go in here, provisioning, example, there we go, that's all we needed to do. So done. Well, hold on. Provisioning site. Yeah, that's fine. So now we vim provisioning.conf. User mask instead of being example.com, it's to mricon.com. I think we need to change title. No. Anyway. Conf. Yeah. No, we don't need to do anything here. Alright, I believe that should be it. Let's try it out. So theoretically, if I go to totp.mricon.com, I should be able to provision myself with a token. Let's try that out. Let's use that one. Come here. Alright. I hate that when it happens, but clearly we didn't do something right. Why? Oh, right, duh. This is something that I'm not managing via the Puppet module, but something that we'll have to manage. You will have to manage separately. I'm just going to edit it right on the system. IP tables. So I need to allow 443. I need to allow 8443. I'm going to allow it from everywhere. You're clearly would do a better job and say, instead of allowing from everywhere, just allow from my infrastructure. I'm going to install the IP tables, and now we're going to try again. This is a self-signed certificate, the default certificate provided by the packages. So this is going to throw this error. What you would do clearly is instead of, let me show you where and the problem is. So if we go back to the Puppet server, in provisioning, HTTP provisioning, as a self-certificate file, you see it currently pointing at the default localhost.crt, which is a self-signed certificate that's being created when the modSSL is installed. What you want to do, instead of using this, you want to go out to a CA, such as StartSSL or any other one that you like, and get actual certificate for, in my case, would be totp.mricon.com. In your case, it will be whatever your site is. And you will replace this here with a real certificate. And the reason it's important is because this is going to be client facing, and your clients are going to go to the site and they're going to log in to the system to get their two-factor authentication tokens, and you don't want to throw this ugly error message right here. So I'm going to say proceed anyway, which is a really silly idea, but I'm going to do that. And you can see everything is apparently working. So I have the QR code here that I can scan with a Google Authentication app on Google Authenticator app on my phone. It's either the stock Google Authenticator. There's actually a great deal of them right now, and this will import the just now generated two-factor authentication token into my phone. What I'm going to do, since I'm trying to make this all visible to you, I'm not going to scan this right now. I'm going to cheat. Oops, I'm going to go right here to the two-factor, to the TOTP system, and the token that's been generated by default, it uses the file storage system. So we go to etc totpcgi, go to the TOTP directory that actually has all the tokens itself. And if I cat this, you'll see that it just now got generated. And this is exactly the same format as the Google Authenticator PAM module. If you ever installed it and never used it, this is the file format that it uses. So this is the QR code that is on that page. All it really does is just encodes this in a way that Google Authenticator app would recognize and import with. But really the important bit here is this. This is the base 32 encoded secret that is used to convert timestamps into the 6-digit codes. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go to this page, and I'm going to add this token to this website, which is a HTML5 application that basically is an implementation of the TOTP standard. This is a really, really dumb idea. Don't do this in real life, clearly, because for one thing, the whole purpose of two-factor authentication is to remove your authentication token, the second-factor authentication token, from the rest of your workstation. You don't want this secret to be anywhere on your workstation, so that the point of something you have is that you demonstrate that this is something that I have. This being my phone or my iPod or whatever. So and doubly bad, don't run this in a browser window. I mean, browser is your most exposed software on your workstation. I mean, you go to how many sites a day, and you really don't want to. This is now stored in my HTML5 store file. So this is going to be actually directly accessible to the browser. So I mean, I'm doing this. I just wanted to reiterate that I'm doing this browser approach simply because to demonstrate to you the tokens that have been generated, so I can actually show you that what is being generated by this app is actually acceptable, will be accepted by my pseudo application. Cool. This is like the big public service announcement. Don't do this. Do actually import this into your phone, and do take out your phone and use it. Don't do something stupid like this. This defeats the whole purpose of two-factor authentication. All right, so this is now that I've cleared my conscience. Now let's proceed to our installation. So I'm going to move this out of the way for the moment, and let's go back to our Puppet server. Go to our manifests directory, site.pp, and to the default node. Let's say the default node now is include client, and let's take a look at what that module provides. So there's very few things that we install here. One is PAM URL, which PAM URL is a PAM module that interacts with the 2pcgi server, and to do that, it will use mutual SSL authentication. So not only are we verifying that the server we're connecting to is trusted, the server, before it even lets us pass to the actual CGI, would verify that the SSL certificate provided by the client is actually a trusted one. So this is not only we're authenticating the server, we're also authenticating each client. And we're using the reason why it's very easy here is because we're using Puppet keys and certificates which are already existing on every system, which is why the whole point of this, if you already have Puppet installed on your infrastructure, you already have mutual authentication between all your servers and all your clients. So we were just going to ride on the back of that, because to tell you the truth, the most annoying bit is the certificate management in this two-factor authentication setup. You have to create, provision certificates for all your two-factor authentication nodes, and that just quickly becomes a nightmare in terms of management. So if you already use Puppet, that already handles all of that for you, then you are really just riding on its coattails, and this makes the whole process so much simpler. All right, so PAM URL will use Puppet's certificate installed locally to connect to the server and to pass the password that we specify, or really the token that we specify. I'm going to make sure that the sudo package is present, which is most of the time it is. We're going to install pamurl.conf, which tells PAM URL to which server to go and which port to connect to and which certificates to use. And we are going to install the pam.d, our own sudo module that requires two-factor authentication. Let's take a look at that. Go to Files, sudo.pam. You will see the only thing that we really add, say we do sufficient PAM URL so config pamurl.conf, and let's go to let's actually do it right here, do puppet agent t, and this should configure Puppet server itself for two-factor authentication, and let's see how well that works for us. Okay, cool. So let's test it out. I'm going to disconnect from it. I'm going to pull this right here. There. All right, let me close this. All right, so this is where I wish I had focus follows mouse configured. Never mind. All right, so let's do SSH moppet mricon.com as myself. Now I do sudo I, and first of all it will ask me is my password. That's as usual, the same password that I used. And then it will ask me Google Authenticator token. So let's go over here and 179363. Type it in. Ta-da! And it worked. And just to make sure that it's not just bogus, let's do that whole thing again and just provide a bogus token. Do sudo-i bogus 00 and authenticator token, let's say 555555. As you can see, it didn't work. So if I do it, my password and the actual token 386286. All right. I swear it works. 911790. There we go. I must have mistyped it the previous time. And if we go look at the server, look at the var log messages, you will see these entries. DamSMalf. Let me just grab them. You'll see what the first success that when I tried it out, say from my server, valid token used. It says not a valid token. All right, then token has already been used once. There's we're hitting. We didn't wait 30 seconds between using this token, the previous token, and the next token, and then we have valid token used after that. So there we go, and let's run puppet agent T on the server itself, and this will configure the two-factor authentication server itself for using two-factor authentication, and that's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. Let's test it out. Sudo I token 605028. Ta-da! And it works. So there you have it. You have two-factor authentication using Google Authenticator. It's centralized. All you have to do, if any of the future clients are enrolled, they will be automatically enabled for two-factor authentication. You don't have to do anything. You just have to enroll them with Puppet. That makes the whole process of two-factor authentication, analyzing your infrastructure, extremely simple if you already use Puppet. And with this module provided, this is also very straightforward and very simple. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please join us on pound TOTPCGI on Freenode, or just open an issue at on GitHub. And thank you again, and enjoy.